questions, but my request is people who can frame their question only in one line, ask your questions. Others can hold your questions for the tea break. You can ask longer questions there so that we can cover maximum number of questions. And the speakers will also try to answer it in maximum 1 or 2 lines. Can somebody help with the mic in the audience? My request is everything has gone fine till now, so let's exercise discipline, not more than 1 line when you are asking your question. Can somebody help with the mic? Okay, you can use this.
I'm very excited to know that when Shri Vibhuti Jha ji said that in sentence is not complete. I'm very excited to know that when Shri Vibhuti Jha ji said that in second chapter there are sutra for, let us say, bringing you back to the high level of energy when you are feeling low, and in chapter 18 there are sutra which lead to success. I would like to know which is one favorite sutra from chapter 2 which is for self-motivation, and one of your favorite sutra in chapter 18 which is for success. This is my question. Thank you.
I actually know or I don't know?
I'm excited to know that.
Chapter 2 is Sutra 3, Clavium. And in chapter 18, it starts from almost around 5, goes up to 17, 18. There are many formulas out there. So that's very simple. Thank you.
Thank you. I would request everybody to keep me polite, so 1 line.
Question. Once I heard a cryptic statement from Swami Vedabharati, a great Swami from the north, and he said, a child is born 3 years before he's born. And after that, he pretty quickly died, so I never got an explanation. And a lady who was teaching here about Vedic parenting perhaps would have some insight. A child is born 3 years before it is born. Thank you.
So I have requested her to come back on the stage and answer the question. So the question is, the child is born. You can come here. Yeah, the child is born 3 years before the child is born. That's the question.
Yes.
Yeah. So he heard Swami Vedabharati saying that. So can you repeat the question once again?
Born 3 years before its birth, and it was pronounced by Swami Vedabharati of Himalayan Yoga.
A child is born 3 years before means that in our Vedic philosophy, when we say it's Garbhadharan Sanskara, there are many sanskaras related to it. Means when you're planning a child, before that we have a process. How to plan a child? What should be your thoughts? There is a saying that you should read Bhagavad Gita when you have conceived a child. That means before you're giving birth or before conception of a child, there is a process for it. The process is what should be the thought of the parents, at what time is auspicious for that conception, how we can go about it. There is a process in it. So a child is born before 3 years means that a parent has to decide beforehand. If they are married, they have to decide beforehand how, when, where, at what time we should conceive a child. Am I clear? Yeah.
Next question.
Visualize gross domestic happiness. So with your experiences in setting up different institutions, you spoke of individual happiness, but how do we make a systemic change, if any ideas?
Bharatiya education system, the cleansing of upper vital organs is necessary to acquire this sense of happiness. To institutionalize this happiness through education, we have to follow some activities, we have to practice some activities. The first one is cleansing of stomach. Second one is cleansing of lungs. Third one is cleansing of heart. Fourth one is cleansing of mouth. And fifth and last, cleansing of brain. We have so many attractive and simple activities we are practicing in our gurukulas and in many schools to acquire this happiness.
I would like to add to this. You know, that was a very, very significant question. I watched the video of Bhutan. Bhutan is launched the global domestic happiness concept. And when they were doing this, in the 90-minute of video that I watched, I found that they had deputed volunteers or census takers to talk to people as to what was their concept of happiness. And what was fascinating for me to see that people had different concepts of happiness. Somebody had, I must own 5 cows. Somebody's concept of asset ownership was, I must have 12 donkeys. Somebody had, I must have 5 goats. And likewise, the values also differed. So from all those stuff, they came up with 4 basic yardsticks of global domestic happiness. And I made a note of that. So thank you for asking.
Thank you.
And I will read them out so that it is important for you to know. One of them is sustainable development, preservation and promotion of cultural values, conservation of natural wealth, and establishment of good governance. These are the 4 pillars of global domestic happiness, but it will all differ, and you have to build institutions to sustain all 4 of them. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Can we have some questions from the back? Yes, please.
Yeah, my question is to Acharya Vivek Ji. We have heard about Prasthantrayi, that is Upanishad, Brahma Sutra and Bhagavad Gita. And as a common person or a householder, we have been told that Bhagavad Gita is the easiest one. But in your talk, you have put a new dimension, is that Bhagavad is the preparation of Bhagavad Gita. So can you just guide and throw some light?
Yeah, will do. Before I answer, as part of one of the founders of United Consciousness, the portfolio I've been given is to work with our youth. So today our youth, they're leading a workshop from 2:20 to 3:20 p.m. in Hall 2. So I'm actively encouraging you to come and see what our youth are doing within United Consciousness. Number 2, to your question, it cannot be institutionalized. Working with youth requires you to blend with them and then bend them. The only way to be successful is from a ground-up approach, which is why the Guru and the Gurukula are so important. Now, answering your question directly, we live in Kali Yuga. We have lots of definitions of Kali, but Kali also means fast. So how many verses of Bhagavad Gita do you want to study? 10, 7, 1. That's why we jump to the Upanishad, and then we become scholarly about it. But really the methodology is only after studying the art of dying, which is taught in Srimad Bhagavatam. Then you are ready for the art of living, which is taught in the Bhagavad Gita. Then you are taught the art of life, capital L life, which is taught in the Upanishad. The Prakarana Granthas, those are all contained in Srimad Bhagavatam in a more organized way. But it requires a lot of patience and tutelage to be able to navigate 18,000 verses. Nobody has the time for that anymore. Fair?
Thank you. Next question, please.
The blazer in the back.
My question is to Dr. Vibhuti. that you quoted Vivekananda ji that anything in excess is poison. So what about spirituality? It's quite addictive. So for me,
Absolutely brilliant. I love that question because that is a question you have to address. So in the last conversation which, Bhanuji had mentioned about my last talk here, I had mentioned that nothing must make you shithil or numb. One of the misunderstandings about yoga, meditation, and everything else is that it makes you soft. You are supposed to be slow, humble, and everything else. In reality, what it did to me, and I believe that is to be true, it makes you mentally strong, mentally tough, to face dharma the way it is. So remember that part. Everything is, supposing, talk about spirituality. If you are thinking that spirituality in excess is bad, that means you have not understood spirituality. That's something that you have to figure out. At what point should you stop? Because there is an example. Everybody says Atithi Devo Bhava. In our philosophy, they say Atithi Devo Bhava, guest is God. But the man who is knocking on your door to cut your throat, if you treat him as Atithi, that's your failing. Because that's time when the dharma demands that you protect and defend what is yours. So understanding dharma and spirituality is critical. It doesn't mean that you become soft and supple and weak and humble. Thank you.
Yeah, and also it's very addictive also.
Sorry. Next question, please. And I think if you would have followed Shankaranandaji's speech, he also talked about 6 stages, and then Balish, which is physical toughness, and then mental toughness being one. So it was quite a journey in itself, and I don't think it would end in this lifetime. Next question, please.
Yeah. For the people who are already facing adversities in life, so as Vibhuti Ji already said in the second Adhyaya Sankhya, Krishna Ji teaches about titiksha, like Mata Spashastu Konte Shitoshna Sukha Dukkha, Agma Paina Anitya Tan Titiksha Subharata. And also in 16th Adhyaya he teaches like how to be happy, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nashochiti Nakangshati. And Vivek Ji also said that we are afraid of.
Question, the rule is one line.
I'm closing.
There have been 14, 15 lines.
Yeah. So how Vivek Ji said there are people with fake smiles. We are afraid of those. How do we identify such people who are already facing adversities? What are some opinions for them, and what are opinions for society to identify such people so that we can help them in adversities? Thanks.
Good references to the Gita. Start with Swadhyaya. The one aspect that those who follow Sanatana Dharma miss out on is Swadhyaya, which is really studying themselves. If you study yourself, you will be honest about whether you're in adversity or not, because if you're not honest, everyone's always in adversity. Swadhyaya. Number 2 is a reframing. If an adversity makes you a better person, is it really an adversity then? It's a training then. It's a challenge then. So Swadhyaya, then reframing. Finally, if you want to think about this at a volume level, everyone has enough time in their day, and if we can start dedicating a portion of our time every day to serving people with their EQ and SQ, that's our emotional quotient and spiritual quotient, if you can help 3 people, those 3 people help 10 other people, there's this pyramid effect. So make that your lifestyle. Make that your lifestyle, that today I'm going to make 3 other people happier. Not the happiest, but happier. Through that, this is like that institutionalization of how happiness can spread. Then people will feel less weight in their life and their day and so on.
Thank you. Next question, there was a lady. Yeah, please, ma'am.
Sir, my question is to Acharya Viveka. Sir, often we have heard about Srimad Bhagavat and Bhagavad Gita. Sir, could you please elaborate the difference between Srimad Bhagavat and Bhagavad Gita? I have studied so many times, but till now I don't have the exact answer of this. So please, sir.
Study maps of Sanatana Dharma without a guide. Don't. it will only grow your ego instead of shrink your ego. And I'm saying this as someone who's done both. I studied without a guide, then I studied with a guide, and it's a different map then. When you think of someone you admire, you first connect to them because of their life, then you connect to them because of their teachings. Do you agree? Do you all agree? Srimad Bhagavatam is Bhagavan Krishna's life. Once you have that love for Bhagavan Krishna, then you're ready for the Bhagavad Gita, which is Bhagavan Krishna's teachings. So it's about Sri Krishna's life and then teachings. Both of them are by Rishi Vyasa. Now a question for all of you. Which did Rishi Vyasa write last? Was it Bhagavad Gita or was it Srimad Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavatam. Even he felt he didn't do enough seva for all of us, so the final message he gave to all of us was through Srimad Bhagavatam. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Isn't it true we actually first relate with the person, and once we have respect for the person, then we start listening to the person, and then we try to interpret the teachings. So, yeah, now you had a question.
Hello everybody. My question is from Acharya Viveka. Usually when somebody compliments us positively, we end up getting happy. A gesture is happy. But on the other hand, when somebody negatively comments us on any sort of matter, people say you should not get influenced. You should not get demotivated by such negative comments. So what's your take on that? Why are we advised not to take negative comments when one side we are accepting the positive compliments?
Yes. It's development through social media. You read a quote that said, take this seriously, but not that seriously. But the fuller message is, don't take compliments seriously either. The more seriously you take a compliment, the more seriously you're going to take criticism, and vice versa. So that's the fuller messaging, but now here, making this more specific, if you're trying to seek validity from someone else who's seeking validity, how are you going to feel? Your invalidity is going to be compounded. So if you really want to be validated from someone who doesn't need validation, because then they're going to be very accurate and honest with you. You did this right, or you can do this better. We tend to seek security from those who are seeking security, so there's a magnification of insecurity. So I come back to my point about the need for a guru, for a guide, someone who really knows you and cares for you in a pure way, where there's no other agenda. It's hard to find friends like that, and definitely not through media.
I would like to add to your question. That is a very, very important question in the 21st century, because we are always seeking self-gratification and what Vivek ji said, validation. Humne kaisa kiya? How did I do? So we seek validation. So what is important here to remember, and this is our proven data, 90% of the time in the world, people communicate through a word called assessment. Bear that in mind. You are all at this point in time making an assessment of what we are talking about here. So the important part is here that assessments are never right or wrong. That also is true. It is an individual assessment based on their understanding, their knowledge, their insufficient information or more information. So where you need to develop is what I told you earlier on, is that your life is a function of how you respond to life coming at you. So this is what life is, a simple example of life coming at you. You have to become a total imbalance, neither taking it with immense pride nor feeling let down about it. So remember this very simply, all of us to remember, assessments are never right and wrong. It's just an opinion, and you have to take it at that face value. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vibhuti. Shankarananda, you are part of an organization where people do not seek this validation, and they have been selflessly working without seeking this validation from others. So what is the field, what is the culture? Is it that you select such kind of people while coming in, or is it the culture of the organization which ensures that they work with without external validation and keep exhibiting this volunteering attitude throughout their career.
In such an ecosystem, we take our life forward because we come across some example personalities, exemplaries. They decide something, they put some targets, and with the timeline, they achieve it. As we go on keeping the target and go on achieving it, a simple target set in the beginning, and we have to achieve it. If we practice this continuously without validating others, we will move forward in our life without any fail.
Thank you, thanks a lot. So basically it's the high five. Yeah. we learned about the high five. So the same philosophy applies there. We have 3 more minutes. I can take one more question if anybody wants to ask a question. If not, then I have a question. So because we have audience, we have speakers from Canada, we have speakers from US, we have speakers from India. So my question is that social groups, right? When we form a social group or a community or an organization, it helps us improve our safety, our life expectancy. But the same thing actually becomes the root for breaking the peace. Because you create boundaries for your organization and it makes it difficult to interact with the other social group or the other boundaries. What at an individual level, not an organization level, not at the governance level, what at an individual level we can do as an individual while remaining part of the social group to ensure so one practical one-line answer from each 3 of you. It can be as simple as Nelson Mandela gave the example that I always do my meeting in a circle. I never do it and I speak the last. So one example from each of you with your experiences, how everybody can take it away with them, how despite being part of that group, we can ensure that we contribute in our individual capacity to that peace building.
Don't criticize anybody. Feel for every happening, I am the responsible, and think positive.
Thank you, Vibhuti Ji.
The one thing which I have learned in my life is always seek truth. Truth is the ultimate remover of darkness. Satyameva Jayate is a very meaningful 3 words. Satyameva Jayate. Think about it from that point of view. The moment you get to the truth, darkness, despair, ignorance evaporates. The second part I want to add here quickly, because we are living in a modern world. In this particular time, there are a lot of people are always told to compromise. And I find that word rather dangerous. Because whenever you have a compromise, it's always the good side that loses. Because he is the one who is giving up, he or she, whatever. So just keep one example in mind. Would you ever have a compromise of having 2 drops of poison in your 5-gallon of milk? Think, would you drink it? Never. Therefore, there are moments in time when you cannot have a compromise beyond a particular point. You can add water, but you can't add poison. That's what is important. Thank you.
Please serve locally. Shankarji, Vibhuti Ji, myself, we all have our local organizations like the Human Project or Chinmay Mission. And then to practice the tapa of growing, everyone here should be actively serving the environment. This is Kurukshetra, but if there's no more Kshetra, how are we going to change our vasanas? How are we going to evolve? The earth is a requirement of our consciousness. So everyone here should be engaged in Prithvi Yoga, serving the environment with their resources, time, effort. It's everyone's earth. His organization is his, not mine, but it's our earth. So that's the way to think globally and act locally.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Do not criticize. Always take fact-based decisions and think globally, act locally. Give me a high five if you have all enjoyed the session. And a big round of applause for all the speakers, Tanvi ji, Kushika ji, all the staff there who is managing the show, all the volunteers, all the audience here. Give a big round of applause to you. You've been a great Shweta. None of them were Shweta during the whole session. So a big round of applause to all of you.
And to Bhanu also.
So we have the okay. So we have done the notes. We have done the following. We have done the facilitation. Yeah, I hope you are all doing the facilitation, making the posts on your Twitter and your LinkedIn accounts and everywhere. And now is the time for felicitation. So, can we have the mementos before Kaf is also here with me. So I would like to thank her for being here. Thank you, Preeti. And I was a bit nervous because this is my first conference of this sort. I've never been on this kind of stage. I've been on various other conferences. So she also helped me prepare for it. Thanks a lot. So